Deep in the ocean, an orca pod is on the hunt. But these aren't your average orcas. These guys are organized.
Marketing team, did you get those social media posts scheduled for the SEAL migration?
Aye, Captain. We even have an automated notification for all pod managers when they go live.
They use Monday.com to keep their teamwork sharp, their communication clear, and their goals in sight. Monday.com. For whatever you run, even orcas. Go to Monday.com to dive deeper.
Well, I don't see the point in waiting any longer, so let's bring her out. The star attraction, the one you came to see. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Miss Judy Gold.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kill Me Now. I'm Judy Gold. Hi, Patrick.
That's Brian.
Oh, Brian. Oh, you know why I called you Patrick? Because Sharon, my ex's nephew, has red hair and a red beard. And I thought, oh, he looks like Patrick, and Patrick came out of my mouth. So you're now Patrick from the
Patrick
rest
is
of the show.
also the name of our producer.
Oh, so that could have been a double whammy.
Yeah,
but
double
I was
whammy.
thinking of Patrick, Sharon's nephew. That was who just spoke for the last time on the podcast, Lauren. And I'm so excited about our guest.
Well, I'm excited too.
No, I'm more excited.
I don't know about that.
We worked together like 20-something years ago.
It was 17 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, 16 and a
Fucking
half.
old.
Yeah.
And then we worked together again like 3 years ago.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And also, we were at the same, we were like part of the PTA together.
Yeah, that's right.
Not officially.
Right. You don't
We had
do
our
a
own
fucking thing.
No, I did not. But
Ladies and gentlemen, the
side PTA.
incredible writer, actor, producer, director.
Voiceover star.
I am not finished.
I was just helping you.
Voiceover star.
It's uncomfortable.
The host of the Majority Report. The incredible Sam Seder is here, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you very
it's
much.
It's supposed to be Seder, but he didn't want to be too Jewish.
No, that's right. We want to, I'm still
Did
trying
they
to.
change it from Seder to
I'm
Seder?
trying to pass.
Yeah, you really can
Yeah,
pass.
no. Well, it's a long process. It used to be Sedersky.
Really?
My understanding is like around the turn of the century, I think like a great-great-grandfather or somebody needed to get insurance for like a schmata factory or something. I don't know, I'm making this up. But I think they couldn't get insurance, so they dropped the SKY.
Oh, that's so great. And so I'm so glad that racism and anti-Semitism and homophobia has completely been eradicated since then.
Well, that was the 1900s. I mean, I think I've found living in Brooklyn, operating in New York, and, being involved in show business, I've done okay as a Jew.
Right.
I don't run into too many obstacles. I mean,
the
other
boy
things
Jews
probably-
don't run into
No,
obstacles.
I mean, for me, it's been basically a cakewalk.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, honestly.
Shut the fuck up. So, Sam Seder was born in New York City. Oh, I didn't turn off my fucking thing, and it's Henry.
Oh, geez.
Everyone turn on for
Great.
phones.
Good job.
Phones
Here,
off.
ready?
Children.
Here's Henry. Ready? We're just gonna have Henry on FaceTime.
Nice.
Watch.
I don't think I've seen him in age. Oh,
Henry.
my God.
I'm doing my podcast with Sam Seder.
Put some clothes on, for God's sakes.
He looks like a model.
What's going
That's
on?
Sam,
You just waking up?
What up, brother?
Lauren.
Good morning.
And Brian Patrick. Oh, good.
Are you on the West Coast?
No,
like,
he's
are
in
you
Indiana.
in Hawaii or something?
What's with the no shirt on?
I just played basketball.
Oh, so you smell?
Well, I just took my shirt off because it's sweaty.
Oh. What's going on? I gotta go.
What time does this guy sleep till?
What time did you get up this morning?
I rolled out of bed at 9:40.
Not bad.
Pledge drive me to class at 10, and then I
Nice.
Pledge picked me up, and I've been sleeping since 11.
God, I'm so
Jesus
proud of you. How's that job working out?
I need a pledge.
Yeah.
The what?
Can you send some of your pledges here?
I wish my kids would sleep.
Yeah.
Are you stoned right now?
No, I'm just tired.
All right. All right, I'll call you after.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Bye. Love you.
Bye,
You don't want to
hen.
get high in the middle of your nap.
All right. Bye.
You do that
I love
before.
you.
Right. You don't want to interrupt your nap by getting high.
No.
That was Henry calling from bed.
Wow.
Looking like a Gap model.
Yeah,
He is
Jesus
really
Christ.
handsome.
Yeah,
Last time I saw him, he was like a kid.
No, that was Ben, I think.
No, I mean even
Oh,
he
Henry,
was,
you did.
he-
We did see you at the diner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, Sam, I have a lot of things I want to talk to you about.
I'm glad.
I do want to say that when we worked together on the E-Trade,
That's right.
you and I were picked out of maybe a dozen people.
There was a bunch.
Yeah.
It was the whole process from start to finish was extremely awkward.
Right.
And, largely unsuccessful.
Right.
What was this? An
So
E-Trade?
the E-Trade baby?
Yeah.
So this guy was the liaison between the the advertising agency, and E-Trade. It was the greatest job in the world because all he did really was tell us, have
About-
these ideas, and he loved. Like the E-Trade baby to him was...
Yeah, he thought it was this could he would say stuff like this could get the coveted Super Bowl spot, and look at us like Judy and I were just like, is this going to mean that we get paid more money?
Right,
That's
that's
the
all we
only
wanted.
thing that we
Right.
cared about was like I had no idea why I was there.
Right.
It was completely like a sort of a fluke.
Right.
And we just kept looking at each other like, what's going to make us get more money? And
Right.
he was talking about this stuff like there's an art to this, and there's like this entire
Oh, and
hierarchy.
then Pete Holmes is Einstein.
Yeah,
I mean, I
think
love Pete Holmes, but he was like, he is the
I don't
baby.
really
There'd
remember.
be no
Oh, right,
baby.
he's the baby.
There
Okay.
would be no baby without what he does with these words.
So Pete Holmes is the baby's voice.
Right.
And you guys were writing for
So
the
they,
baby?
But no, see, this
we
is the
had to
thing.
audition. First, we had to write, or we went into a meeting, and he picked two of us.
There was a lot of good writers.
Yeah.
But the weird part about it is that this was all part of some other political
Yes.
advertising move where he was doing an end run around the advertising agency, and we were just sort of like, we would get these cryptic phone calls from
Right.
different people involved in this process, like, are you guys okay? Because the shit's really going down. And we're like, what are you talking about?
I just want my check.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're just...
They were fighting.
It
'cause
was very strange.
Because I guess they were going to fire the agency, or he wanted to be instead of using the agency, wanted to hire us.
Yeah, he kept talking about
And be like the
meanwhile,
savior.
agency set up the meeting of all the writers, and then he decides, I'll get the writers, and we'll fire the agency.
But yeah, and then he was saying what we're about to do
Oh, beyond.
could change the paradigm.
Yeah,
of
he
the
said
entire
paradigm.
advertising.
I hate the word paradigm. He said paradigm a lot.
And
That made you hate the word paradigm?
Yeah, he
And
wouldn't
literally,
stop.
This is going to be
Which is
bigger than the
sad.
Ally
And
McBeal
then
baby.
He wanted us to be rivals, but I went up to Sam. I go, no, we're in this together.
oh right, like the entire thing was just basically like, how can we extract more money out of this
Right.
process? That was the only thing.
And he wanted
I
you
was
to
like-
compete for
Well,
it?
he was like, whoever's is better, and then I was just like, Sam, let's just do it together.
Right.
Like,
and which was perfect for me because
Yeah.
frankly, Judy's were better.
oh, stop.
Judy's were much better.
I
She's
had
a
the one
genius.
with the hot
But I
coals.
had an entire sub apparatus below Judy and I. So there was just a series of hierarchies, and I had a whole
Right.
team of writers where we would conspire to create
Right.
a new paradigm of the new paradigm.
Right.
God. And
in
meanwhile,
which-
you're all just lost in the Matrix and nothing's really happening.
I had
Yeah, none
one.
of
They
it.
wanted it to be. I had the baby walking over hot coals. And his mantra, so he wouldn't burn his feet, was whatever the E-Trade mantra was.
yeah.
remember. I don't
E-Trade,
remember.
Yeah.
E-Trade.
No, it was like, I don't know. They had a new
Don't burn my feet?
fucking
I can't
whatever.
remember.
I don't know. We did a whole bunch.
So nothing ever came of this at all?
Well, they did a little run. He would change everything and make it not funny.
Okay.
But
They did a dry run, and then
And-
all of a sudden it all blew up.
speaking
and
of a dry run, God damn it. Go ahead.
Good night, folks.
he then all of a sudden one day it was just like, oh yeah, no, it all fell apart, and I'm fired, and you guys are gone.
Yeah, he goes, listen, I got fired. So we're like, fuck.
Wow. Damn.
I know.
The world was going to
But
change.
it was a weird, it never felt 100% comfortable.
No.
Oh, my
it
God,
sounds
it
like
all-
no one was on the up and up.
Look,
with
they were
that.
sneaking us into I felt like they were
Right.
sneaking us into offices.
Yeah,
and-
come in this office. don't walk
And
by
I
them.
also think there was actually a significant
even work
amount
there.
of alcohol involved in the mix, if I remember correctly.
Really?
No.
I feel like it all times a day.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was at one point. I think I observed something to that effect.
In an
Wow.
advertising agency?
I can't remember exactly what.
I don't know. Have you seen Mad Men?
The liaison to the
yeah, that's what I was
advertising,
saying.
There was some. I mean, I like if I had.
You
had
know what I
more time,
remember the
would have been
most
drinking.
about that
What?
period of time? Your misery that you were having another child.
I was a little bit concerned that another child was on the way.
Pre-mortem.
I mean, that's. I mean, I don't want to blow it out of proportion, but yes, that's accurate.
So,
That's fair. That's
have
normal.
you recovered from the initial shock of having 2 children?
Well, my son is much easier
Right.
than the first. My second child much easier than
Right.
the second one.
Same.
The first one. And so,
I mean, Henry, I love you, but you're not as easy as Ben.
right. And I love my daughter Mila, but difficult. She was
Right.
difficult as a child up until really about I don't know, like 2 weeks ago.
And how old is she now?
She's 10.
You just fucking wait. But then they love their father. So, like, I think you're done.
I
think
hope
because
so.
they love the they fucking start hating. She's going to start hating your wife.
I mean, she's been sort of, she's
Who
had
do
a
you
problem
think
with all
hates your
this.
wife more?
Please don't
You?
project.
Me
Or
or my
you-
daughter?
yeah.
I don't know. Like we have meetings about it, and we
Yeah.
sort of like we're creating a new paradigm.
Right.
Yeah.
Paradigm. And today's word is.
We create a new paradigm, and no, it's
Don't
been.
forget that
I
silent G.
haven't. Sleep is an issue. Like I had to, because
Well,
based
the
on
sleep is the worst. And they just had an article out. Was it yesterday about that new parents lose 6 months of sleep a year?
Wow.
yeah.
I believe it.
I remember. This is what I remember. You know that? Remember when you used to fucking do these gigs and I remember I'd go to Boston, and we'll talk about Boston because that's where you started. But I would do 3 shows at Nick's, right? And then I'd drive home because I didn't want to stay in that fucking condo.
Oh,
You remember?
well, I never was
Oh,
in the
you
car
didn't
'cause I
have
lived
to.
there.
Yeah. So and I wanted to be in my own bed. So I'd leave at like 1 a.m. and drive home from Boston. And that feeling of, trying to stay awake and it's 24 hours and the stomach ache and the jet lag and and you're just like, just watch a fucking video.
It's torture.
Like all these parents, you're not gonna. It's like, fuck, here's Barney. Shut the fuck up.
Imagine, if you will, that you had strategically had your children in such a way that period of time actually gets elongated, right? So like instead of grouping your kids together,
Right.
so that like, okay, I had like a 6-year period
Right.
of just absolute hell with no sleep, but you had elongated that period to like, let's say over the course of like 10 or 12
Right,
years.
right.
That's what it's like having a child when one is 7. Like when the kid turns 6, it's like it's all of a sudden like, oh my God, I have an extra like 2 hours a day.
Right.
Right.
Like they're not chewing up the same. Like,
Right.
I don't have to wipe any asses.
Right.
I'm thirsty. Great. There's the refrigerator. Go
Right.
get a drink.
Damn.
We had about 15 minutes of that before my wife.
What
got
a
Well,
tease.
I had the 5 years, and then the new one. So 5
the
years.
kids are 5 years apart?
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 and then the pregnancy.
Right, but it's 2 women, so we're both willing to do everything. I'm sort of the guy.
Well, what are you saying? That I'm not doing anything?
It's just, Sam, you're a guy.
That's true.
I mean,
seems
a lot
like a
of guys.
pretty well-rounded-
Okay, I'm
Okay.
telling you right now.
You're in touch with your inner
Okay,
woman.
I mean,
check it.
I don't-
Yes.
I am telling you that no matter how much
She know
guys.
Hebrew? Did you say shekel?
Oh wait, she's trans. We
Okay.
can't. We
It's
have to.
fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Check it. Yeah, my wife's Israeli. I'm
Okay.
learning.
All right,
I know.
all right.
I know what "shut up" means.
Anyway, I didn't say babakasha. I just said check it. Okay.
And I check it.
But it's like the men. I know there's so many hands-on guys. Like when I see guys in like Target or hold with the baby Bjorn, like being, and I'm like, oh, you have a baby for 3 hours, and you're gonna fucking.
If
you
the
can
Bjorn
tell.
is a giveaway, that's just a pose.
Right.
Like they're going out, they're probably trolling for girls.
Right.
That's why you wear a baby.
And if you have the E-Trade baby in your baby Bjorn, then it's really bad.
I remember that. You're not letting go.
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
I mean, because all that talk about paradigm shift and
Yeah.
Super Bowl ads.
No,
it's
but
like,
I just said baby, so I thought of E-Trade. But it's like, come on, you have to admit your wife has it way worse.
my wife does have it way worse. Although I will say, in my defense, my wife is out of town for a couple of days. a
Really?
week for work, and so for instance. I deal with my son waking up at 6 a.m. this morning, and he peed himself, and of course, and the whole kit and caboodle.
And no nanny?
No nanny, but he goes to like a
Daycare.
preschool.
Yeah.
Not daycare. It's preschool. That's the way we can convince ourselves that we're not bad parents.
My kids went to daycare at 3 months old.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Oh,
they went to
that's-
Basic Trust. It was fucking great. It's the
all right.
greatest thing.
Well, I mean,
it was
reason.
great.
I mean,
Go.
this,
But I spent.
there's been studies, but that
Fuck you. You just heard him. He's sleeping all
Right.
day. I'm very proud of
he
him.
sleeps very well.
Because they put him on a sleeping schedule.
Here's the benefit
He's got
about
people
having
doing
a
shit
son.
for him.
My son is like he's like a dog. Like my
Nice.
daughter,
Right.
had like a will from a very young age.
She's like a cat.
So you think
No, like a
Fox.
like a not just
Coyote.
Like she's like
God
a,
damn it, I win. What do
like
I
a
get?
Lion,
Ryan
like a
Patrick.
lion.
Right.
Like it was vicious.
Right.
Vicious. I couldn't tell my daughter. She was upset about something. Forget it.
Right.
My son is like literally it doesn't matter what has happened. Just
give him a treat.
He could lose like a toe in some type of accident, and he's crying. All I have to say is like, is that a truck? And he's just like, what?
Truck?
I think I hear a
the
truck
fire
outside.
trucks are great.
I think I hear any truck. And he's
Right.
like, I think I heard a truck outside. Well, let's go to the window. And
That's
that's
like
it.
Judy.
So he
It's
has
over.
ADD.
He's completely
Yeah.
forgotten.
That's
Completely
great.
forgotten.
I like that.
Completely
I like
forgotten
that.
about what he
So
was wearing.
where is she in public school, Mila?
Yeah.
Which one? Oh, you don't have to say if you don't want.
Well, we went over to Brooklyn. She's in a Brooklyn public
Oh,
school.
all right.
Yeah.
And
She switched in grade 3 because
Right.
I went from the public school that
Yeah.
we knew each other at.
you
don't know
know,
why.
I have to
People are
say,
going to go back and get
I
your
know.
kids.
Where are the
alumni
kids?
records.
Where's Sam Cedar's kids? I'm a Republican. I am a true believer in public schools.
Oh, I am too. I mean, me too.
And so many. This is how bad it is. So Ben is 14. He's 6'4" now. He has a 16 shoe. He's like, I'm not kidding. He plays basketball 4 hours a day, practices 4 hours. He's going to play college ball. He's like amazing.
Wow.
And this private school with an amazing team. I feel like with a tremendous team. That's Donald Trump. Tremendous team.
Fantastic.
Everybody
they recruited
loves
him.
them.
They just keep recruiting him, and he's like, I am not going to private school. I am not, and it's he's like, I will not go to private school.
Wow.
Which I love.
Yeah, I mean,
it would be good for his basketball career, but you know what? He fucking goes to school right by Times Square, and the school just moved from the Lincoln Center. Henry would go hang out at Lincoln Center after school. I went to fucking Quick Check in New Jersey.
we had friendlies.
I
in
like
Massachusetts.
Friendlies, yeah.
It was just like you
Friendlies
go to
is
Times
good.
Did you
Square.
did you have the drive-through, like where you could go on the outside and just order from the out? You didn't
From
have to walk in?
Friendlies?
Yeah.
It was Worcester. Things were not that sophisticated. It was just you had
But
to go
Worcester
through the
was a
front door.
huge melting pot. That's how it started. It was not just one. There were Jews, there were Irish, there were.
It's not a huge population of Jews, and it's actually gotten smaller. I mean, it's Worcester's. Worcester
I don't
was
know if
basic.
you noticed
What's
that
that?
the entire population of Jews got smaller in the 1940s.
I heard that. I'm saying. Since
I know, I'm
was
kidding.
there-
Go ahead.
Right. I don't know that the population of Worcester was impacted as much dramatically by the.
I
World
know
War
that
II.
there were a lot of different people there because one of my students grew up there. Anyway,
Nancy.
your middle name is Lincoln.
Oh, wow, someone has done their research.
Don't look at my thing. Which, you don't hear that a lot. I mean, I know one dad from the baseball team named Lincoln.
Lincoln,
Jew.
Jew.
Yeah. But your middle name is the name of a Republican. He did free the slaves.
That's true.
Are you named after Abe?
No.
Any relation?
Bing, 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 bing. What do I get, Brian Patrick?
For asking a question?
I don't know.
Okay, go.
What, did you? No, it was
No.
actually just like my dad's friend when he was like 20, a childhood friend who had passed away.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Nah.
But you can say, I mean, do
I mean,
you
I'm
find
after-
it
I'm not-
ironic
I'm named
that you
after-
went into politics, really, and your middle name is Lincoln? I mean, that is Bashert.
That's crazy. That's really crazy. Yeah, no, I mean, it occurred to me Lincoln is also the name of Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
It wasn't his middle name. It was
Right.
his
I
last
know.
name.
I'm just saying. Okay. So you go to school, you went to high school.
I
and
was named after Sam Gagenson, though, who was a congressman from Connecticut.
Is that true?
No.
You're an asshole.
No, he was not.
It was my great. All right. You were the director of your school's variety show in high school.
Yes,
Awesome.
that's right.
Yes.
I mean, I think technically the co-director. I don't want to
Yes,
piss
I
anybody
know.
off,
I
but,
did. I did read co-director, but I wanted to
But
say.
I think probably I did more than him.
really.
The
And was
co-director
the
usually does.
co-director a teacher or was it?
No,
another
it was the
student?
kid. It was Gary.
And then
Gary Freilich.
you wrote to the city about a charter, or
Like simultaneously, I also served on the Worcester Charter Commission as like their one employee.
Right.
Well, not their one employee. Their one underpaid employee. There was one other guy.
And how old were you?
I think I was
High
senior in high
school?
school. Yeah, and we had with actually the guy who was just the former mayor of Worcester. Concurrently, I mean, at
Right.
the time we were high school buddies.
wow.
We submitted a charter proposal for when Worcester changed their charter, and it was ultimately something very similar was adopted.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to boast.
Were your parents like, Samuel wrote a charter with his friend?
No, they were.
And they're considering it.
No.
Were they not very
no.
supportive of you?
I mean, I think they were aware that I was doing it, but
But you didn't have like
no,
your mother
my parents
wasn't
were not
over.
like that. No,
What were they like?
Arm's length.
Yeah.
I think we tried. I think everybody in our family tried to.
You don't know arm's length.
Oh no, the way he was
All right.
kind of mentioning his parents before,
Right.
I think we all tried in the family to stay at arm's length from each other. I mean, I'm close
Do
with
you
my
have-
sisters.
yeah,
and,
yeah.
And I'm closer with my parents now because they're grandparents.
Right. Were they involved in politics?
No, my dad an attorney, my mom a teacher. Yeah, no. Although I will say this, apparently the chairman of Massachusetts, Central Massachusetts for McGovern, lived down the street from us.
Wow.
And when McGovern came to Massachusetts, they needed a house with a big backyard.
So
We had a-
that
we had a
was
big backyard.
yours?
And so McGovern came to our house in
No way!
72. And I remember I was like 6 or 7 at
Right.
the time. And I remember Roger Mudd. Like that.
Oh yes, Roger
I
Mudd.
remember Roger Mudd walking
yeah,
because I'd
yeah,
seen
yeah.
him on TV.
Right.
And I remember him walking up, and there was a lot of like motorcycle cops around. And so, like,
cool.
whenever my parents had people over after that, I had a Speed Racer helmet that I would wear
Right.
with the Billy Club just to be the cop at the party. But I remember
that's
like there was
so
a big
cute.
yeah.
Oh my
McGovern
God.
event.
Now, so what do you remember about McGovern?
Well,
Besides
at the
his hair.
time, I remember that he was instrumental in '68 for sort of getting the unions out of
Yes.
the convention process, which ultimately, at the time when I was in '72, I projected that it would lead to a dissolution of union power in this country and lead to a 7%.
And you
No, I don't know. At the
let
time,
me
I didn't
tell
know
you
anything. I was
you know what I
67.
remember
I don't
about
know.
McGovern?
You had a Billy Club?
I remember, and we didn't talk a lot about politics, but the two things I remember. I remember walking home. I lived 5 houses down from our elementary school, and it went through 8th grade. And I remember walking home, and my mother's from Manhattan. My father grew up in New Jersey, but like I instinctively knew my mother was a liberal. Even though she's like, there's certain things that women shouldn't do, like female rabbi, but she,
Right,
as she got older,
right,
she got a little. But I remember walking home, and so I lived at the base of a hill, and then up the hill were all the Italians. Our neighborhood was all Italian and Jewish. and there were like, I think there were I'm in New Jersey. There were a lot of mobby people, which no one cared. But I remember one of the rich houses,
They should do a show about it.
Oh my God, that's such a great, like a family and the guy's in the mob, but he has a regular family.
I don't know if that would work. But.
All right. Anyway, it might work on like HBO or Showtime or something. All right. Anyway, so I remember walking home with one of the snotty kids. My parents were older and they were not into, our house was a completely different household than all these like parents who were like in their 20s when they had their kids, and my parents were in their 40s. Anyway, so I remember walking home and one of the snotties is like, "Oh, Nixon" or something, and I was like, "No, McGovern." I was like this.
I think I had that. I remember.
It was like, I remember that. I just remember it was that was the first time I realized how different people really were, and that these Republican meant something and Democratic meant and Independent meant something, but then it wasn't like you didn't talk to. It's not like today where someone says to me, "I'm going to vote for Trump" or "I'm going to vote for Cruz," and I go, "Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you."
I think part of it is the age difference, right? I mean, at that time,
But now, I don't remember even through, like, I couldn't stand Reagan. I couldn't stand Reagan because of AIDS. I really couldn't stand him. I didn't think he was smart. But the AIDS crisis, I had so many friends die or dying.
You were directly affected.
Right. And it was awful.
He was horrible.
Yeah. He was horrible. She was
horrible.
horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're actors. I don't get it.
Did you hear my? Oh, I did my Nancy Reagan joke.
Did you?
Right.
Did it bother you when Hillary Clinton said that about Nancy Reagan?
Oh my God! I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
That was one of the more disturbing.
It was unnecessary. Totally unnecessary.
Well,
no, she made a mistake. I mean, she did work for stem cell research, and Nancy was for stem cell research after Ronnie died, and there's George W. Bush sitting there at the funeral, and they put the camera on him when someone mentioned stem cell research. They put the camera on him. But yeah,
no, just that to me just says like, because I was in college at the time. I was vaguely aware that the administration was ignoring it. Maybe I was just getting out of college around that time that I had. And it was vague awareness. And certainly by the mid-'90s, though, early 90s, I was like, enough of a mature person and in touch with politics, on that level to say like, hey, this was really problematic. Well, she was first lady of Arkansas in the early 90s.
Right.
She was the first lady. Like, when she came into office, it was, one administration later. That to me was indicative of like, wow, wherever she's getting her information from is someone I don't want
on her
my
staff,
president to be talking to and believing.
Right.
I mean, that was what was problematic to me. I mean, I've got problems with her, but that's not,
right. So you then went to Connecticut College, which is a very good school.
It was a good school. I didn't really, I wasn't, I think my cousin had gone there. And so I was like, okay. That's
but it's a great school.
A great school.
And you met John.
Oh, no. I knew John Benjamin and I think we went to camp together at age 5.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. We went to junior high. We were enemies all through
wow.
junior high. And then, junior high enemies. We beat him and his friends up at bar mitzvahs. And then...
You would?
Well, not him, because he was too fast.
Yeah.
But you'd beat up his friends?
Well, yeah. I mean,
why would you?
That's a badass. I'm just...
beat him up,
Henry
but
does
like,
the beat
up. It's like,
thing.
Pushing around with each other. I mean,
you'd kick his ass. It's okay.
You know what? Now,
that's cool.
They arrange fights. So Ben is like, and they talk, Ben and Henry, who are both, very well educated. I'm going to be with Nick because they're having a fight at 3:00 at blank. And I'm like, how do you just have a fight? Like, you have to.
We've always arranged fights.
I know, but then they all go, and it's always like some tale of a knife or this and Ben is the most docile, like wouldn't
West Side
hit.
Story.
Yeah,
right, and he wouldn't hit, but they bring him because he's so big, but he won't touch anyone. I don't know, it's ridiculous. Anyway, so
But I was like 13. I mean, it wasn't
Yeah.
like real fighting.
All
It
right,
was
so
like-
you go to Connecticut College, and then you went to
was.
law
It's
school
cool.
I went to law school
for 1 year,
Yeah,
and you quit.
yeah.
Why?
You
You quit and did stand-up and started
That's
doing
right.
stand-up.
That's so many lawyers.
And then
right?
So
Benjamin,
many.
I got Benjamin to
And you
leave. He was
leave
in
Northwestern,
in
and then you
Northwestern.
went to Somerville and rented an apartment together.
That's right. Jeez, where did you get this? How do you do research?
I do research for everyone.
She's a witch.
Pretty good.
A community means more than the street you live on or where your home is on a map. It's the relationships, not the location, that matter most. You may have noticed your community has changed. Old friends have moved away, you don't know any of your new neighbors, or you just don't feel quite as comfortable as you used to. The Good Samaritan Society can help. Our senior living communities offer more than a place to live. They offer a place where you can feel at home again. Housing options that fit your needs, a staff that genuinely cares, and neighbors you can call friends. Our mission is helping those we serve feel loved, valued, and at peace. Let us prove it to you so you can get back to enjoying your community and everything that comes with it.
To learn more about the Good Samaritan Society, call 855-GOOD-SAM or visit good-sam.com today. That's 855-GOOD-SAM or good-sam.com.
My father is a lawyer.
My father was a lawyer.
His father, who I was named after, was a lawyer. 4 of his brothers were lawyers.
Yeah.
4 in my father's generation
Right.
were lawyers. It was Seder and Seder, and
Of Beverly Hills.
of Worcester,
yes.
and
Hi, Cedar and Cedar's office.
exactly.
No, we don't sell trees. So long.
Ruth worked
Hi,
there.
Cedar and Cedar. No, we don't have any armoires. So long. Hi, All right,
See,
sorry.
it
Because
wouldn't
I
work
could
that
do
way.
about 100.
Yeah, but the problem is that with that is like people would look it up in the phone book,
Right.
and it wouldn't be under C. It's not spelled
Right,
with a C,
it's
an
spelled with
S.
a Seder and Seder.
Right.
No, we do not have any bitter herbs. Goodbye.
That's what I'm talking
Seder and Seder. We've run out of matzah, you assholes. Shalom. You know, I had someone call from my synagogue today. I have to
To
say,
what? Sell you matzah?
no, they want me to host this big gala, and I can't. And she's and
You can't or you won't.
No, I can't. I actually can't. I do. You know, I'm very philanthropic. Too philanthropic. Anyway, so
That's true.
but every time I get, you don't belong to a synagogue or anything,
I do.
right? You do? Which one?
One
In Brooklyn?
Yeah,
Oh, you're gonna do the. Were you bar mitzvahed?
I was.
Yeah, me too. Bar mitzvahed.
My daughter is going to be bat mitzvah. My wife is not Jewish. But
I know.
We're raising her Jewish.
Jewy.
My daughter, she's not terribly psyched about it, but I was like,
She will be when she gets closer.
I mean, my daughter, my wife wanted to raise
with a religion.
with a religion, and she really didn't have any one that she was raised with, and I
Right.
was like, well,
Yeah, I don't know if she's missing out that much, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Really?
Not your fucking area. Got it?
Totally.
Let me tell you something. Everyone I know, I'm not kidding, because Elisa wasn't bat mitzvahed because her parents were like, no, you don't have to. And so she asked her friends, how's Hebrew school? And they were like, it sucks. So she didn't come. Biggest regret. Her sister is now getting bat mitzvahed. It's a big right.
I would
and
like to sit her down with Mila, because Mila, of course, is like, I'm not learning anything. This is
Right,
stupid.
but Ben didn't want to either. But then when they do it, they're so like, wow, I fucking did that. It's really an amazing thing.
I think it's something that she could feel good about.
And they have a party.
And it's a party. We probably wouldn't do the party.
Yeah, we don't do
But,
big parties. She can go to Israel. No, but it really is an accomplishment. And you do learn another language and you feel part of a community.
Yeah.
And you learn these stories that help you, you know.
And I told her, I said, look, you don't, there's only 2 things I'm going to make you do. I'm going to force you to take piano, and I'm going to force you to go to Hebrew school. The
And
rest
does she
of it,
like piano?
No. She doesn't like anything I make her do.
I
but she's a good piano player.
I play piano.
She's a good piano player. I should have her sit and
Yeah,
talk to you guys.
I'll play with her. Bring her over. I have a piano. We
I
can
will.
do
That would be so
duets.
fun.
Okay.
I want to record it.
No. So now I lost my train of thought.
You were
'cause
talking
we went
about
to the
the temple. They wanted you to...
So every time they call, I'm not kidding. It's 800 different. It's the same Jewy voice of hi. This is Deborah Steinstein, and I hope this finds you well. Everything is, I hope this finds you well.
There's a lot of Jews I find that work.
I
at the
know,
temple.
but it's like, please, and everything's so like, please, I don't mean to bother you. Like, there's this whole thing in the
Passive,
voice, like, you know, I hope that you'll be able to get back to me, and I hope you're well, and I hope, and I'm hoping for good news, and I'm hoping and hoping and hoping and hoping. It's like
your temple.
They
If I'm
just
not mistaken, your temple is at the corner of Amsterdam and 1955. Is that?
mine is at between
Basically.
Broadway and West End. I'm gonna go with maybe 1960.
Okay.
I mean, but it's hi. This is Deborah Steinbergstein. I hope this
Like when
finds
you put
well.
that voice on, I imagine someone who has to take their earring off to put the phone
But
receiver
yes, but
to
you
their
know
ear.
what is amazing?
Like it's like sort of these like muted colors.
But you know, I talked to her today. Her name is actually Lisa Steinberg. But I talked to her today, and then I just start being me. And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "I know it sucks, and I hate this fucking traveling." And then we were talking, and then I'm just like, "Fuck this," and she's like, like completely becomes a normal person. Like they're so Jewy in the Jewy area.
Well, you disarm
And
people.
I don't know
then
who could be on the other line. They just call and they put that sort of like Jewy protective voice on.
Hi,
It's like-
but she deals with all the fundraising. So we were
Right.
talking about
Yeah.
how people who are born or from wealthy families and born wealthy are so much more humble than nouveau riche.
Oh,
It is beyond. And my mother always used to tell me that, you know, you never know how much money anyone has. You never know. They could have the nicest car, the nicest house. They could be broke. And you cannot ever, ever, ever. And my mother came from a lot of, you know, she was very classy, which I took on, as you can see. But it's true. It's the new people. I see it with comics.
when they get a lot of money.
Yeah, it's like, you're not a fucking, sorry. You're still, you know, sitting in the back of the Comedy Cellar or Catch trying to get on. So don't fucking, big deal. Okay, I'm not going through names. Anyway, the point is.
I'm actually pretty curious now.
I'll tell you later. Anyway, so you then start doing stand-up, but you joined, David Cross had a group called Cross Comedy.
That's correct.
And now what was it? Was it sketches?
Sketches. It was sketches. And
But were you doing stand-up? Like, where did you start doing stand-up and why?
I mean, I guess when I was in law school, I mean, I always had sort of this dual track. I went to college as a theater major, and I was running. I was actually like, you know, as they did a program with Eugene O'Neill Center.
Oh yeah, in New Haven,
in New
right?
London,
Yeah,
New London,
New London.
And-
It's in Connecticut, and it's
right,
new.
Connecticut.
Yeah. You're in
And
Seder.
so I was I had a job on Midsummer's Night's Dream to pull the rope for the elevator for the queen, for the fairy queen to come out of the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was my job as part of like being a theater major.
Right.
You have to do backstage
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And but I had to go to a speech night because I was running for, you know, I think freshman class president.
Right.
And so I came to tell the director, I said, look, I can't be here Sunday night. The production was like 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away.
Right.
I can't be here Sunday night to pull the rope. And he goes, well, we'll find somebody else to do it. And I said, okay, and I'll be back Monday. And he goes, no, we're going to find somebody else to do it.
Oh, that is
was
so
like-
typical.
I was like,
Well, that's
but
the way they are.
what are you talking
know.
about? I got to give the speech.
That's
And he's like,
showbiz, kid.
Well, if you're not committed to this. And I was like, okay.
That's what it's
I'm
all
not
in
committed to it.
college,
Goodbye.
especially. It's all about commitment.
Right.
You know, you're not showing me that you're like, I majored
yeah.
in piano, but then I was like, I'm not sitting in the practice room for 6 hours. These people are fucking miserable. I'll just be a general music major. I'll learn my pieces for my jury, and that's it. But the rest of them are in there hours and hours in this soundproof, tiny fucking.
I gotta say, I didn't particularly like the other acting like majors. It was always like, it was just like, you know, please pass the salt.
Oh,
it's like,
I
you
know.
just talking a normal voice.
Just
like
ask
lunch.
for the sugar.
Right. I don't need to hear like, I don't know.
All right. So.
Edward Robinson asked for the.
Wait. All right.
I'm with you.
Okay. But I wrote stuff and then I went back.
I felt the same
So,
way as a
all
theater
right.
major. While you were looking for
But
your
I
notes,
know, but you're not. You have to go with the flow. Flow.
Yes,
we have an issue.
Mrs.
I was gonna say it's like being at home.
Right,
It's like-
because I'm trying to teach Lauren that that Lauren is supposed to challenge me or, get on my nerves, but in a good way and go along with the conversation.
Right.
But instead,
She's putting the brakes
it's
on.
interjections.
It's interjections.
Yeah.
I have the same problem.
May I interject?
You have 30 seconds. Go.
While you were looking up your notes and not necessarally saying anything in particular at the time,
I understand
thought
what
I
you're-
would
you're
also.
looked.
I did. What's that?
I was
Okay.
just agreeing.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
Well, I
Lauren.
think we're in agreement.
Lauren, you have to say he.
I was filling in the
So try
dead
to deal
space.
with that. Okay.
But I got to
But
say
he doesn't
You
care.
deal with so much.
Lauren has a female body but is a male.
It's a physical condition.
Yeah,
I
won't
understand.
transition.
Okay, long transition.
So,
I might.
okay. So, you do the David Cross comedy. Now, let me tell you
Cross
something.
comedy, right.
Cross comedy. And I had already been doing stand-up, I remember, and a lot of New Yorkers would go to Boston
Yes.
all the time to get
I met a
stage
lot
time.
of people. Met a lot of people who come up and they would like sort of like host the show. Sort
Yeah.
of like be like the stand up like 10 minutes and
Right.
then we would do the show.
Right. And you're working with Louis and Janine
Yep.
and all the Boston comics. And I remember in the 80s when I
But
started.
Louis and Janine had left at that point.
Right,
But
right.
Louis would come back. He would do some stuff.
But that
sometimes.
we all knew they were from there.
Right.
Like Wendy
Marin.
Liebman was there too.
Right.
There was a lot of really good Boston. Like we would go to Boston because we could make more money there on
It was
the
a
weekends.
great comedy scene at
yes.
that time, yeah.
And then during the week we'd be in the city, and then the Boston comics would come to get seen in New York.
Right.
And it was So they both had great comedy
Right.
scenes. And so you're in with this group. Now I'm a little older. I had been doing stand up, and I always felt like, oh, those are the cool guys. Though, I mean, that
they
was, and
That's true. That's true. I'm agreeing with you.
you're an asshole. Seder and Seder. No, I'm sorry. We do not have air freshness.
We've had to close up because Sam became a comedian.
Okay, so what happened? I started.
How did we get so
at 19?
uncool?
No, but you were all so. Well, this is not. We're going to do sketches, and then it became Luna Lounge. Like,
Yeah.
we're not going to tell jokes. We're going to tell stories.
That's true.
And so many people, and I always was like, oh, I'd like to do that, but I was half accepted and
Yeah.
half not accepted, and it was so annoying.
There was a
because-
real attitude. Okay. So
and let me tell you, when I shot my HBO special, that week of specials, Janine, Marin, Jonathan Cat, like all these people, and they ended up, and I remember thinking, well, they're doing all their stuff in these sort of alternative clubs, but when HBO comes to see them, they have to do it at the Improv.
right.
And so
That's
I was
tougher.
like, right, and it's much tougher. And I was like, I can kill at the Improv, and I know I could kill because my act is storytelling.
Right.
But no one would ever give me the fucking chance.
Well, we talked about this. All of us. No, that is not.
There was a meeting.
Seder and
There was-
Seder.
I mean, that scene. There was something that was also happening in San Francisco at the same
Right,
time.
right.
And I mean, I was a little bit younger than those guys. Like,
Right.
Benjamin and I actually joined that cross comedy. I think we were the last 2 or
Right.
3 people, and it was like, I don't know, like 15 people.
Right.
And
Ben Stiller.
no, Ben Stiller was not
Was
around.
after?
No, Ben Stiller, like, Cross left Boston to
go to
LA.
Ben all right.
So, like, Janine would come through, and Marin would come through, and Louis would come through, and they were, like, sort of like, involved in it,
Right.
almost peripherally, but closer than some.
Right.
Like people, like I think I met Attell at the backstage at, Catch, and
That's
Black.
Yeah,
and,
those were, yeah.
And so there was that whole, I don't know if you want to call it comedy school, there was this like pushback to all the stand-up. And part of it was like, we were in Cambridge and there were like Boston comics
Right.
who were Boston comics.
Right, the Nick DiPaolos,
The
yes.
DiPaolos and the Steve Sweeneys.
right.
And Chance
what's his
Lincoln
name?
and, Murphy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just now
Yeah,
naming
yeah.
off Irish names. Fitzgerald.
O'Reilly.
But And, guys at Catch couldn't play at Nick's, really. You wouldn't.
I did.
Very rarely, though, you could go. And we were all sort of coming out of Catch. And, I was, barely opening at that point.
Right.
I'd go on to Route 1 occasionally.
Right,
but,
right.
if I went and did something, even at the Chinese restaurant on Route 1, it would be like,
I love that place.
Look at this fag going.
At Kowloon's.
Yeah, exactly. And
let me tell you something. It's so interesting that you say that
it's
because
a massive restaurant.
I wanted to be able to conquer those rooms as a female, and I did. I really learned how to do it. But I also was at Catch, and I also wasn't telling regular jokes. I was talking about my mother and talking about my life, and I so wanted to be a fucking accepted by, that.
Well, I wasn't in charge of accepting.
Yeah,
people.
well, fuck you. Go ahead. But they respected me.
Yeah,
they
I think
did
so.
respect me, and I respected them. And I
was a fan of yours at that time.
I love you.
That's all she wanted.
What we were doing, was specifically, there was a lot of, I think, father hate involved in that group. Mm-hmm. And so it was very oriented towards fuck the industry and fuck the norms, and it was deconstructive, and people were it was Andy Kaufman was the big sort of influence, and we would do stuff that would come out of the audience.
Right.
So we would plant people in the audience.
Right.
And at Catch, there was that was only
Catch was
to be in the audience at Catch was you're almost the audience. There's no wow, what's going on over there? It's just holy shit, what's going on right here?
Right.
And we would do stuff like that, and it was, it was all there would be a 12 o'clock show, and people would tackle you on stage and that type of stuff. And I think there was just there was an attitude coming out of that room in particular that was just very anti-comedy, and it was just, for me, it was just very lucky because the group sort of dissolved at one point. We tried to cut down to 9. I think I was number 10. John Benjamin was reminding me this the other day. I think he voted against me, but that's not important.
We're not going to be bitter.
We're not going to be bitter about it. And to compete for Just for Laughs or something like that. And then I think at one point there was talk of Saturday Night Live.
Right.
But the group sort of dissolved when Cross went to go do the Ben Stiller show. And then people came down to do Conan because, we started another group with Benjamin and I, and Laura Silverman was in it.
Right.
Mike Lee, I don't know if you remember that.
I remember Mike Lee.
He was a great joke writer. Almost half the buttons you see in the street were jokes he had written. But by the time what was happening at Largo in California, which was that sort of, which I had never been
Beth
to.
Lapidus.
Right.
Yeah.
But they tried to do it at Rebar down here.
Yep.
And in the first 2 weeks they were doing it, I had come down, and I think I had met some guy from Comedy Central come up to scout our second group, and he put us up, and all the shit we were doing in Boston was perfect for that room.
Right.
This sort of sketch, but not quite sketch.
Right.
And sort of just weird, not really funny enough for a comedy room,
non-sequitur-y kind of.
You were
I'm not
conceptual.
going to follow
just
the
very
rules.
conceptual stuff.
Right.
And it was very lucky for me because out of there I got my first gig. Oh, All American Girl.
That's what I was going to get to.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. So
it just occurred to me. Of course, I forgot.
So
about that.
I remember this because I did my HBO special. And I was on All American Girl because first they were going to put me on one of those Ladies of the Night, Women of the Night things, and then they gave me a full special.
Right, where they compare female comedians to prostitutes.
Right, Women of the Night.
Of course.
So,
of course.
But yes,
Same thing.
So I was cast on All American Girl, what episode were you on? I kind of remember. No?
You will recall that you were fired at the
end. You
were
at the end.
That's right.
That's right. So what happened was we had a full season and then they fired all of us. But you know who went on an audition and got another part for another show? Me. So I was like, I'm booked. I got cast in this show, Blame It on Ernie, on UPN. I was a mail carrier. It was really funny. It was about these mail carriers. And
I never heard
and
of
Ernie
that.
was a mail carrier. And I was like
All
the
American
friend.
Girl was on
Yeah.
ABC, which was a
Yes.
major broadcast network.
Yes, and then you guys came in. They said we're going to make it like Friends.
Yep.
And so you came in.
I was the hip nerd, and it was Diedrich Bader.
I remember.
was a
Yes.
roommate, and I think his name was Andy Lowry, and he was like a, and they kept Grandma. I can't remember. her name.
What's her name? Amy Hill.
Yeah, and she
Amy
was,
Hill, because she, it was interesting because they did those Q thing, the testing.
yeah.
She came in first and I came in second. But I,
I mean,
but
we
I'm
were
not
the
cool
crew.
enough. But it was like
It's like-
another thing, like, oh, so those are her cool hip friends, and
Right.
here we go again.
Right.
I'm so not cool.
But that
I
was an
haven't- yeah.
on-air pilot, which rarely happens.
Right.
Like where they do like the 18th episode or the 22nd
Right.
episode of the season was like everybody apparently had died in some type of like horrible accident.
Oh, it's
And
like-
the only person who
yeah.
lived was Grandma, and now all of a sudden Margaret is living with 3 other people, and Mariska Hargitay was on that show.
Yes.
Hargitay, and
It's Hargitay.
I just called her Mariska.
Okay.
And I did a scene with Vicki Lawrence, and like,
Oh, yeah.
but that whole thing, they had seen me at Largo. My girlfriend at the time had moved out to L.A., so I went out to L.A. because I was like, I got nothing.
Right.
I just moved down to New York,
Right.
and I think it was like I moved to New York in October of '94, and I think like my girlfriend had moved out there in like January, and I went out there, and by February I went out there.
Right.
My first audition was with that. I think it was Sandollar at the time
Right.
that they had seen me. I booked it. I didn't have an agent, and it was, it didn't occur to me like, this is just like booking a regional Dunkin' Donuts audition in Boston.
Right.
And I got it, got an agent, got the part. You know who auditioned was Jack Black. And that's
You know what? He did an episode.
and he talked about that? No.
No, he not on this. He did an episode of All American Girl before that, and I remember because he was like, he kept telling Margaret like, "Who's that girl?" Like me, and everyone, a lot of people. I mean, everyone pretty much knew I was gay, except like guest stars would come on. And I remember, what's her name? Jodie Long, who played the mother. And we'd always be in makeup, me and Maddie Corman and Margaret, and we'd talk about Sharon, Sharon coming, she's my ex. And I remember, and Jodie would always be like, "Who's Sharon? And we literally called her Who's Sharon. Like that, her name was Who's. Her name became Who's. But Jack Black was one of the, and he was like, who, and Margaret was like, sorry. But, because he likes tall women. But then, you know who else did an episode? Big director.
Big director. Tarantino.
Quentin
of course, I knew
Tarantino.
that because Margaret was dating him at the time.
Right, Margaret
I remember
dated
she was
him.
on the phone with him all the time. Like, he kept me up last night. Would you come in or something?
And we all went out to dinner. And then we all decided one day on the set that the director was this older gentleman who was, a network director. You know how they are. They're just like factorized.
I remember that episode because
Yes.
I watched it after I got the show. I had never
Okay.
seen the show.
So-
and they drew, I just remember like he drew like a square.
Right.
And I just remember going like, oh shit, what the fuck is this
Right.
show? I had no idea what it was.
Well-
I just knew they were going to pay me a lot of money.
Yeah. And so, so the director, we all came in early because Quentin had just done whatchamacallit. And
Not
the
Reservoir
movie.
Dogs, the
No,
next
the
one.
movie.
Right.
This is me. This is
Right.
the movie
With the
people, with this,
Pulp
with
Fiction.
what's Pulp Fiction. And so we all decided to get there.
Was that your
early.
sign for vagina?
Yeah, we all decided to get there early before the director, and we were going to be sitting around making believe Quentin was directing the episode. So we all and then the director walked in, and we were like, "Okay, how else should I do my line?" And he was like,
He didn't get it.
I mean, he was laughing, but you knew he was like, anyway. But you did that next phase.
I did that, and then of course it went
then
away.
it didn't go.
But that's basically how I totally stumbled into it.
Right.
And then from there I did literally.
Well, you did
7
Beat Cops.
Well,
You
but
did. Yeah,
I did
other
this show called The Show.
Right.
After that, Paul Giamatti was in
Right.
the pilot. I did Boys and Girls, Girls and Boys. I mean, there was like a series of after like on.
Well,
call,
once you got
Guy
past the
Island.
network, then you could go anywhere.
Once you do it once,
right?
Like you just become a
They're
safe
like, you're
choice.
part of the. But the thing is, now it's not like it was.
No.
It's not like where you could get on stage and some casting person or a network executive's in the audience goes, I want that guy. It doesn't happen like that
No,
anymore.
but I auditioned, but you have to remember, like at that time, Thursday night, the biggest night of television was Jonathan Silverman, Jerry Seinfeld, David Schwimmer, Paul Reiser, some other Jew who looked basically like
you.
Not quite too Jewy.
Right.
But,
But was handsome.
I would go in.
Even the guy on 30-something.
Every single writer at that time was basically how I projected I would look like when I was their age.
Right.
Like a little fatter, balding a little bit. And that was basically so I got a lot of gigs.
So you wrote the movie Who's the Caboose.
Right.
Which starred Sarah Silverman.
That's right.
And you dated.
Yes.
Which
that was basically like when I had come out to LA, it was to move out with her.
Right.
And that was sort of like
So she was your girlfriend that moved to LA?
At that time,
Gotcha.
yes. And it was sort of, not quite autobiographical, but it was sort of based on that whole experience.
And then that became pilot season.
And then nothing happened. We shot it on Digivideo and converted to film, and it went nowhere. Nobody knew who like Sarah was, or Cross, or Andy Dick, or any. And 6 or 7 years later, Trio bought it. And then commissioned 6 more episodes of like a sequel.
Wow.
So we shot that. And then almost the day that we were to deliver, it was announced that Trio had been bought and was going to close down.
Oh, God. That's what happened to my Blame It on Ernie.
That's what
UPN
happens to all
did
the
fucking
shit that
fuck
I've
shit.
done. Everything I've done is like that.
Okay. And then, so that goes on, your TV career, blah, 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 blah. And we did Beat Cops.
We did Beat Cops, and I did Beat Cops twice, actually. One was after I had done all these sitcom deals. And David Kissinger worked for Studios USA.
I remember Henry's son.
Yeah, exactly. Which was also very
I know.
And but he was a very nice guy. But it was very strange.
I do not like the way you're saying your line.
He did once say to me, he said because he commissioned Beat Cops, which had not been done before because this was right after the Sin Fin rules. And so this was an independent studio. And I think they knew they had to come up with a new model. So he just gave me a chunk of money and I said, I'll deliver it for you.
They used to do that. Now they don't,
and he only got one chance at the script. And I remember him saying, he phrased it in such a weird way, I want to register my deepest concerns over the way that Stan reacts in this scene. And it
no way.
I just felt like, wow, this is like... it was completely sort of like diplomat speak.
Right.
It was very strange.
That's probably how his father was in that.
I presume, yes.
I want to relay my concern about the fact that you want to go into the business of show.
Right. Well, I think Henry probably enjoyed that part of it.
All right. But, so then we fast forward to radio.
Right.
Okay. And we get you. I remember Air America.
Yeah.
I loved Air America. It was finally, because, it was always like, everyone's like the left wing.
It was built because there was no left-leaning media.
And there still really isn't. I mean, there is.
Sort of come full circle.
Right.
In a way.
And yet it was constantly about the left, And so I loved this. And it had Rachel. I remember Rachel. I used to do her show.
Yep.
And you and Janine. Marin.
Al Franken.
Yep. And you and Janine had a show. But she actually had a show and asked for you.
I was out doing pilot season and directing Gary Busey, and she called me, and we had talked about this before because in 2003 I had done a version of this show on Tom Sharpling's show.
Right.
Just because, we did this like fake, political talk show, and wasn't fake, but it was, part of his show. And she called me and she's like, some people have approached me to do this, and I want to do it with you. And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Right.
And so we just did it. In fact, 12 years almost to the day.
Really?
Yeah, in fact, we're recording this on the 29th or 30th?
Right, 30th, yeah.
Okay, tomorrow.
Was
It
the
was
first
12
day?
years. We launched on March 31st, 2004.
Wow.
And Janine and I had never done radio before, and I
Right.
think it was really apparent,
Right.
particularly with me.
Yeah, but
And we were on, all of a sudden, like, I've never done radio before.
Right.
Now I'm on in New York, LA,
Right.
Chicago, 40 stations and whatnot.
You think it was apparent?
Oh, sweet
Why?
Lord. Because
my sweet Lord.
I used to say it was like
Seder and Seder.
it was. It would basically, the way I would pitch it was like, it's like college radio meets college radio.
Right.
It was just did not sound like we were professional, and we
Right.
weren't. Like Janine and I would argue. She would criticize what I was doing on air constantly.
I think
Then-
that's part of what people liked about it.
I think that was actually probably people enjoyed it.
You guys got in a fight over,
Constantly.
but about the Scientology thing. They do.
Yeah,
The media does.
Wikipedia says
yeah.
that. I don't. I mean, that's. I mean, we got in a fight about
Everything.
and part of it was like we were just annoyed with each other on air, and part of it was like, let's just keep being annoyed with each other
Right.
because it's dynamic.
Right.
That Scientology thing, I think, was a little bit overblown.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't. I think we just had a disagreement about something, and we were just sort of channeling other
Right.
general. And I think, for me, I think I liked the stability of doing a show every day, and I think it was harder.
Oh, it's the best.
Well, I think it was harder for her.
Right, because she was acting. Can you tell them to shut the fuck up?
What
It's
is
like so
going on?
fucking
This is like supposed to be a
annoying.
professional. You got all these like, trappings in here.
I
But
know,
it really
and
turns
yet
out
they
to be
don't
like a
shut
locker
the
room.
fuck up. Okay, so
better about
so
my
you're
studio.
on. She decides to leave, and they give you
I stayed
Sam
on with that
Seder
show,
yeah.
and then I did the morning show 9 to noon.
right.
But meanwhile, over the course of 6 years, there were 6 or 5 years. There were 6 different owners,
Right.
and 6 different CEOs, or
Right.
5 owners, and so there's nothing can work in that way. I mean,
Right.
Janine and I were reading Savage, Laura Ingraham,
Right.
and Mark Levin at the time.
Right.
Much bigger signals too.
Right.
And so it was never a ratings issue. It was just we had just abysmal fucking management.
Right.
Abysmal.
Right. So then they give your spot to Lionel, and he
That's right.
loses all your listeners.
That's correct.
And then you decide.
I know. I did a Sunday show.
Right. They gave you once a week the Sam
Yeah.
Seder show.
Yeah.
Cedar and Cedar of Beverly Hills.
Marin, who had also been fired.
Right.
We started doing like these Marin versus
Right.
Cedar hours, with some technology that some dude in Boston had
Right.
figured out, and nobody else had, and we
Right,
were
right.
doing. And then they offered Marin a show with the last round of thing.
Right.
The last guy to come in, and I think he just wanted someone else to be in this clusterfuck with him.
Right.
And so I came back down to New York. I was living upstate, and we did
Where were you living?
up near Hudson.
Why?
Basically, I had bought a house up there years before, and it was the writer's strike.
Right.
I had gone back in, and I had like a deal to do a show with CBS, and I was like literally had gone out the week before and had pitched
That
it.
was
and
a
we were going to
major-
shoot it, and so the writer's strike came, and I had no.
That was unbelievable.
I have
that
no
writer's
skill
strike,
set.
yeah.
I have no ability to make money. Like
Right.
like wait, I'm not on radio,
Right.
and I'm not.
Well, you
doing
could have
show
done
business.
stand up.
No, I wasn't a stand-up anymore.
You never did.
Nah,
all right.
Not really.
Right.
I mean, I had done it, but not. I wasn't
Right.
a real stand-up. I mean, I just alienated people on
Right.
stage, and that's the way it was funny for me to do.
So, in 2000, at the Republican National Convention here in
2004.
Oh, 2000. Oh, no, that's I didn't mean that. I meant in 2000 when George Bush stole the presidency, and the Supreme Court granted him his wish to
Right.
fuck up this country.
Correct.
That was a major turning point in your life.
I mean, I had always been very political, but during that period, I took like this is before digital cameras. I took like $1,000. I just stayed at home. I was an actor.
Right.
And so I was like, I made all my money in like 3 weeks in February.
Right.
And so I was sitting in my apartment just taking photos of every day of the hanging Chad shit. And I just couldn't believe.
When you look at it now with that one guy looking at.
Yep.
We're in the fucking United States of America. We put people on the moon, and this is what he fucking lost.
Yeah.
He fucking lost.
And I had been raised by lawyers where the law, like this whole attitude of the law is like above this shit.
Right.
And the Supreme Court ruling was so egregious in my mind. Like it really, I don't, I just, it was very problematic.
Right.
And I wrote this movie about it, which turned out to be sort of a little bit, I had this idea and I had done this character, Arthur Lieberman. Mm-hmm. In fact, that night I was on the phone with Sharp.
The Lieberman's office.
Joe Lieberman's son.
Right.
But it was a fiction. I didn't even know if he had a son at the time. And it turned into a movie about Joe Lieberman's son, pissed about the election, gets inculcated by some radical Jewish Orthodox postal workers to commit a terrorist attack.
Because, the Jews are great at delivering.
These guys were
mail.
They had got me a bazooka from the Haganah or the Irgun, I can't remember what it was, and that had been sitting in somebody's apartment for 65 years. And my character takes that up into the roof of his building, this co-op building, and fires at another building. And we're shooting this in the summer of 2000. Mm-hmm. I got financial backing from the people who had done Requiem for a Dream.
Right. Nice.
They had seen Caboose, but I said, look, if I'd show you the script of Caboose, you wouldn't give me a dime.
Right.
So I'm not going to show you the script to this.
Right.
I was only asking for $7,500, $100,000 from them. And I put in half of my own money from doing according to Jim or something like that. And we were 8 weeks into editing, and the planes hit the towers, and the whole movie was not funny anymore.
Thanks for listening to part 1 of Sam Seder on Kill Me Now with Judy Gold. Join us in the next episode for part 2 with Sam Seder, Kill Me Now with Judy Gold. Thanks for liking us on iTunes, Facebook, facebook.com/KillMeNowCast. Follow Judy on Twitter at JEWDYGold. Throw us a 5-star rating up on iTunes. Subscribe, resubscribe. Tell your friends about it. Love you all. See you next time.
And everything was wonderful. I'll see you soon. Thank you for the visit. So long.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.